Hey guys.
Looks like you're in charge.
Thank you. You were on mute.
Oh. We'll finish this afterwards.
Can you hear us, Anna?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. How's Miss Anna?
Another day in paradise. How about you guys?
Another day in paradise. Rainy and cold.
What's the weather there?
It actually just started snow flurries for like the second time since we've been here. It's been pretty nice, like mostly in the 50s, but this week's been kind of chilly.
Did you guys not get that Arctic blast and not make it that way?
Nope.
Okay.
I think we're supposed to get a storm tonight into Friday, and it's supposed to be nice this weekend.
Yes. Or you can just gotta make it up. Okay. I have to watch those slurs.
More to think of a new job.
Oh,
Like,
are we waiting for Anna to get us started? You ready, Anna?
Who are we missing? Brian?
Yes, I messaged him, but I haven't heard from him.
Okay.
And Rebecca?
She resigned, so I don't think she will be joining us.
We probably need to have a place where we accept her resignation, don't we?
Yes, unfortunately, she didn't send it very formally, so I just sent an email to Nate. I think that probably needs to go to city council, like just put it on the next agenda, I think. Or we can officially send, do you want HLC just to officially send you an email from our thing, just asking you to accept her resignation?
That sounds good.
Okay, we'll do that. So am I leading this? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All
You're in
right.
charge.
I'm in charge. Oh, fantastic. All right. So does everybody have the meeting minutes in front of them?
Yes.
All right. Everybody had a chance to look at them?
Do we have a quorum?
Well, without Rebecca, I believe we do, because Brian's the only one missing.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 out of 4.
Yep. So we have a quorum. We have a bit, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about that at some point during this meeting. We need to figure out people. If anybody wants to make a motion, we can go ahead and move forward on those minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Anybody want a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Probably should have said any discussion in there. Was there any discussion? All right, motion carries.
And I don't know if you can see them, but we also have with us Jacob and Councilwoman Debbie Gump just came in.
I saw Debbie walk in, and I should probably have my glasses on for this, but yeah, I can see your shapes. I'm good.
Okay.
All right, treasurer's report.
You guys have a copy of the bank statement from United Bank for balance of $8,932.13 from November the 24th through December the 24th. And if you look at the bottom of it, I put a copy of the deposit for $500 thanks to Anna from Miley.
Perfect, good. I'm glad that check finally came. Okay, cool.
I'm glad I finally got it deposited.
I'm glad it came and you got it deposited. So there you go. Anybody would like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll move to approve. A second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 4, AmeriCorps. Welcome, Jacob. Do you want to, how'd your first week go?
It was overall good.
Okay.
I need to go out of the room so you can tell the truth.
Tell us all the horrible things about Nate.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been, I finally feel like I'm settled in now, so
Okay,
start making some forward progress on a lot of things.
Cool. Well, we kind of threw a lot at you at once, and I know it's fairly overwhelming to come in and not understand. Judy knows half the time. She doesn't know what we're talking about, right, Judy?
Yes.
All right, cool. No, I think so far it seems like you're catching on. Seems like we're gonna make pretty good progress. Hopefully next week we'll get this grant done and have this end of year report done, and we'll actually start tackling some of these projects we're working on.
What have you been working on so far, Jacob?
So far, I've done some of the work in Clio for Anna. I've done some background stuff on the concert series. I've done. I was trying to think what else. There was something else that I did some background research on. One of the other events, I think. So
You met with Kristen on the HPI stuff.
met with Kristen on the HPI stuff. I met with Dan Vaughn today regarding the concert series.
Did you wear a mask?
Yeah, he seemed perfectly fine. I don't know.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't coughing or.
Oh, good. Yeah, we can't have you getting sick right away.
Tell me about your progress on that summer. Are we gonna be able to have a concert every Thursday?
Hopefully, that's the plan, to have a kind of weekly concerts. So, whatever, however many weeks that ends up being, I don't have an exact number on that. Mainly right now, just looking at who we can get, who other communities around West Virginia, who they have, and see if we can reach out to those people and then try to.
We'll
Try-
start working on fundraising documentation next week, so that'll be so we can start generating money. Unfortunately, that determines how many people we can actually book. But I will tell you that I did see that Buckhannon already put out their summer camp, their schedule, and Elkins looks like they're getting ready to do the same. So once again, like it feels like it's really early, but I think compared to a lot of the other surrounding communities, we're still starting kind of late in the game. So we're gonna have to just hit the ground running on that next week.
Can I ask a question?
No, you may not.
Make everyone.
Yeah, go for it.
So I looked at the founding documents for this commission, and I have a feeling some other stuff has happened since those were drafted, but I really think that we ought to kind of prioritize some of Jacob's tasks, and I'm a little unsure about how the summer concert series fits into the core mission of this group. I think the summer concert series is fantastic. I enjoyed it and I helped get a group to come to that last year. But when I look at the founding documents, the thing that this group is tasked with doing is these district historic nominations and working on naming historic properties within the city. I think things like Sherry's facade grant fit very nicely within the mission, but I just wondered if someone could tell me about how the summer concert series fits in with.
So last year, I can speak to the fact that it started because we're working on the cultural center, and that being that we were required as part of our grant to create programming, that's how it came about last year. I think the city wants it to be an ongoing thing, and I think it's a manpower thing. I think the fundraising issue is the hardest part for this group because, as it's obvious from who's sitting around the table, there aren't many of us. I think that's the most challenging aspect of this group being tasked with it. It's just,
Yeah,
That's a lot
I
of
don't
legwork.
object to it at all. I think we might want to think about maybe revising the ordinance or and maybe have a formal mission statement of what HLC is, so that, because we get a lot of grant money, just so we're, I know we're really behind in some things that are important, and if this, I just think it would clarify things if somebody came in and started asking.
why don't we put that on next meeting's agenda?
So let's get a mission statement that kind of embraces more things that we're doing, because the one that exists now is pretty antiquated.
Yeah, it's pretty vague.
Also, in thinking in terms of fundraising, according to ethics, two of us on this board our elected officials and we cannot solicit. So that's gonna have to come through.
Yeah, I think it's great. I don't object to it at all. I just think we want to get that built into what our
I
goals
think
are.
some of our scope might need to be trying to really build the cultural center programming group so that they can start taking over some of these initiatives, because we really have had very poor volunteer turnout. So I mean, one of our goals should be trying to establish that group or body of people who are interested in the arts, that are interested in that stuff, that really want to take on that programming. I know that we don't have an arts council, but honestly, in my opinion, this sits with an arts council, right? That's who should be handling it. We don't have an active arts council, and some of this stuff like the slate that Jacob worked on all week, and working with the art studio on trying to get the fundraising going for the silent auction, and a lot of the stuff that we have going on, I think would fit in line with an arts council. We just don't have one. So maybe when we talk about that, even next month and in the next couple of weeks, is we really need to focus on how we can get people to come out and show up and actually do stuff.
I think anything we do in support of historic buildings in Weston is appropriate, but we probably just need to clarify it.
We may very well glean some volunteers from that summer concert series too. I think that, well, I know, and vice versa, some volunteers have shown up for that. And I think also it doesn't hurt to raise awareness for historic landmarks,
When you're here, the historic district, not just historic buildings, right? I know.
Yeah, it's landmarks, it's sacred places, it's anything that falls in the historic district.
I think we had that conversation it's been almost a year now, when we got into the BZA review, right, about certificate appropriateness. That's something in the state statute that HLC has the ability to perform. Wasn't granted by council in the original iteration, but I think that's worth a discussion, at least at this point, and a review of what you're allowed to do by state statute, to make sure our ordinance and stuff is up to date. And you guys have the things you want to do and what council wants you to do, I guess, essentially. So,
Well, I think it probably makes sense to put scope on what we actually do, because from day to day, we're doing a lot of things that aren't in that little tiny window of what we, have outlined in our mission statement. All right, well, does anybody else have anything in welcoming Jacob? We sort of got off task.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yes, we're glad you're here. Thank you. I think it's going to be great. Again, we probably overwhelmed him a little bit. But
well, I also gave the task last 2 days. He's going to be working on the painting bid for the building. I thought that'd be a good skill for him to be able to perform this. So he's got our request for proposal template, and he's going to be working on. We've got some contacts with some painters, and we're going to try to put that together and get that out. We're shooting for February's council meeting to have the bid in and be able to ask for recommendation or approval, I guess, to award that bid.
That's awesome.
So,
And incidentally, just to cut you off, we were going to change the colors of the building. And then we had a resident who was a longtime resident, and her father, she's an author, her father was an author and a historian as well. And she had photographs, actually, and the color that the building is now is actually the color that it should be. So, yes, so it's going to be painted the same color. Just so you know, yeah, we did it the same color.
Just on real quick on that, are we getting, when we're putting it out for bid, are we talking to him about having them scrape the building?
We didn't hear you, Anna.
When we're putting that out for bid, are we asking them to scrape the building as well, to kind of do all the prep work as well? Is that something you put into your scope of that bid?
we haven't made the scope yet, but we're meeting with the painters to say, what do we need to do to make this right? And
Yeah.
so
It definitely needs to be scraped, it needs to be scraped really well, for sure, because, there's so much loose paint on it.
So I think we're gonna try to lean on them to say these are, and this is just wrong, but if you pressure wash it, do we scrape it? Do we sand it?
Oh, I
Whatever,
can answer that.
whatever they tell us to do.
I
Don't
can.
pressure wash it.
Yes, from experience, I
Don't.
can tell, no, because it takes forever to dry out.
Okay.
And when you get that wood wet, it just peels, it won't stick. I mean, it'll look nice for maybe a year and then it'll start peeling off and you have to redo it. So no pressure wash, scraping, dry scraping,
So, like I said,
trial and error.
Yeah. So whatever they feel that, I think that that's typically my experience. You get somebody who does it all the time and say, what are the things I need to put in this bid to consider, right? And then hopefully we'll get a couple of opinions on it and we'll try to glean from that the best we can. And that's why I'm letting Jacob carry that torch and get a little bit of experience on that kind of stuff.
Sometimes the contractor wants to take a shortcut though, and it's gonna
Yeah.
cost you money in the long run, but it's gonna make them money in the short term. So you really have to, as you know, we've worked with contractors. Yeah,
Enzo Stelucci does a really good job. He might be somebody to reach out to for a bid. He's super expensive though.
he's on Cottage Avenue. He is
Yeah.
expensive. but you
He's
get-
very expensive, but I would say as far as people I had do work for me, he was the best.
What's his name again?
Enzo Stelucci.
Put that down.
I think it's Santa Lucia, yeah, and it's spelled Santa Lucia.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So I knew I was something was off. But yeah. I think I have his contact information somewhere. If not, I can find it.
Okay, we'll reach out.
Oh, Cottage.
All right. Okay, so survey update, HPI forms and Wesleyan internship.
So we don't have a Wesleyan intern now. Is that something, do you all want to pursue getting other internships?
I mean, so it was a little rough this last round. I mean, maybe that's something you want to bounce off Jacob, maybe outside of this meeting and see if he thinks it'll be helpful, because I think with somebody to kind of like work with them, it might go better.
Okay.
I mean, it was kind of, I don't know. What is your opinion, Kristen?
It was a little difficult. I think there was some transitioning, I think, going on. And Rebecca was not in town, so yeah. I think an internship could work fine. It needs to be very directed. I thought the intern did everything that we asked him to do, but as you know, when we started with him, we thought we were gonna do individual forms for every house, and that's a completely different animal than doing one form for a district, so. He started kind of doing one thing and we switched to another, but. Yeah, I'll talk with Jacob later and we'll see. And we.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it will be helpful, I think we should do it. If it's gonna be a detriment, then let's obviously just not go there.
Okay, and I think obviously spring semesters have already started, so that would be something we'll talk about for summer and fall. then.
Which is probably better weather-wise anyway.
And Jacob and I have kind of a plan. He's gonna be photographing the remaining houses that have not been photographed so that we can start putting together the district HPI.
Were you able to get him the access to the drive?
Yes.
Okay, cool, good, okay. All right, anything else on the HPI forms?
Everything looked okay. There were a few missing.
Well, we've got them charted and we'll catch them up and get them
Okay.
together. Yeah.
I'm just glad we got as far as we did, so. All right, anything else on that? Nope, okay, cultural center. Nate, do you wanna say anything about where we are right now on that?
Well, we're trying to wrap up the contractors still. We're making baby steps up there and they've been there off and on this week. Cleaning things up. And so I think we're at a pretty good point where we've pulled everything off everybody's property. There's still some fragments of slate and stuff around the property edges that we're supposed to be raking today, but we've seen the weather. The corbels have gone back up for the most part. There's still a few more, I think, to go. We've got an issue with the wall in the back, so we've got the contractor coming back to look at that. And so we'll see where that takes us. And then
Is that the
otherwise-
retaining wall?
retaining wall, yeah. So we'll see where that leads.
Is it slipping or what is it doing?
Bulging, I think would be the right word.
Oh, gosh.
It's retaining walls aren't supposed to be moving, so I'm pretty sure it's moving. So
That's
we're
not
gonna
good.
take a look at it. And then Mills Group, I gave them the authorization, they'd sent us a proposal for $3,000 to work on the front and kind of conceptualize things and work on the entrance and stuff like that. And they sent us an initial proposal for like 15 grand or something like that to do a whole lot of planning. And I said, well, let's start with entrance first and figure out how we're gonna make that access point, and we'll see what you guys are able to provide to us at that threshold. And hopefully that answers enough questions for us to put together some kind of proposal for us to start working on this phase 2 grant funding that we have. And if that's not enough, then we'll, get another quotation from you to go a little bit further to get to that point. But at this juncture, somebody, a professional, it's not professional, needs to figure out how we're gonna get to access the work. And it's been a hard road to get somebody to latch on to that, but I think we finally come to that realization together. So
I worked quite a bit with the guy, I can't think of his name right now, the guy that works under Mills, and I sent him a ton of pictures and ideas, and we had talked quite a bit, and I know that he was working on that. So hopefully they were able to come up with something for, at least for the entrance.
they're working. He called and talked to me about it. So he thought the next week or so they'd have some things to share and stuff of that nature. So that's where we're at this point.
Okay, and then tomorrow I am submitting a grant for the full amount of the Mills Group drawing. So that'll be around $16,000, I believe. I don't have the exact amount in front of me. So hopefully that's the survey and planning. So hopefully we'll hear back from that one pretty soon, and fingers crossed we will get that grant awarded to us. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, as far as the cultural center goes, we are talking about doing a fundraiser for it. Jacob's been working a lot with the art studio on that. So in the coming months, weeks, days, everything, we've got to start working on the slate. It's basically going to be a fundraiser with the slate. So painting projects, and then doing like a silent auction. We're going to go around and get local artists to paint the slate, and then we're going to auction them off. So we've already got a couple interested artists, and that's going to be one of the projects that he will be working on. So if you guys know any local West Virginia artists that are decent, that might be interested in donating their time to paint one of the slates for the silent auction, reach out to Jacob. Okay. All right. This would be so much easier with my glasses. Cemetery update. Nate, you want to kind of tell us where we're at with the turnaround at the top of the hill?
We finally we got an easement signed up there on the road, so you guys can sleep easy at night. That's done.
Yay.
I think that hopefully puts that issue to bed. And I don't really have anything else to offer about Arnold Cemetery. Jacob and I have talked a little bit about putting a project together at some point for us to work on the fencing that you guys have at the street department. And so that'll be on our list to work on that throughout these winter, spring months here. And
Okay.
then Mike Starrett in the street department, they were all up there this week. They picked up every twig and tree, according to Mike. Yeah, they cleaned the whole place up.
I told you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Somebody
yes.
prepared to be a witness to it. So I think
Yeah.
at this point, we've cleaned the thing. So if piles of debris show up again, then that's not anything that we've done. Somebody else has done that.
I think we have a good idea who goes up there and does
I
that,
have a big,
which is why we need photographs and dated photographs as to this is the way that it looked whenever it's addressed to council once again in a public meeting about things going on up there.
Mhm.
Then we can present him with, here are the photographs at such and such date. It was completely cleared off. How did things get cut down again?
Somebody's going up there and like.
Cutting things, yes, cutting things down. Cutting trees.
Yeah.
okay.
I think that
Here.
there are a couple of trees that he brought up to me that he wants the city to address. Has he talked to you guys about that, Nate?
I think you made mention of it at some point.
Okay, he called me and wanted me to make sure that you guys were aware that those are going to be falling on headstones. It's the two above Cordelia's. He's probably right. The one big one, as we know, already took out her headstone, but there are two that look like they're gonna fall. I can circle with Nate, Marty or Mike on that, or just I can tell you which two they are, but I just wanted to bring up that he asked me to bring that up to you guys again.
Okay.
How are you with the chainsaw?
Well, my first response to that, I guess, Anna, is I think we're well over our tree removal budget for this year.
Okay.
And unless they're a danger to the public now, I think that they'll remain until after July 1. It's kind of my feeling on it.
Do we have somebody we're using that we could get an estimate that I could possibly like look for the arbor grant and try to get, because I don't know, I have no idea what that would cost to get those 2 trees trimmed back or cut down.
Keep on me about it. We'll figure out what trees they are and I'll have Marty get you some estimates.
Yeah, if we can get estimates, then maybe at least that gives me something to work on. It's a good ask. It's probably not super, I mean, I'm sure it's expensive, but it's probably not beyond something that's reasonable for that grant. So maybe I got to check the deadlines on that one, but maybe that would be a good one. We could try to get that covered somehow.
Unless they're really precarious, I'd say 3,000 to 5,000.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is that per tree or for both of them, you think?
I'd say both of them. I'd say you're looking at $1,500 to $2,500 per tree.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking in my head, but I really haven't taken down a lot of trees.
But it just depends. If there's some massive trees up there, if they're one of those, 2 of those, and they could be.
They are massive. They're not like the one in the center, but they're big. They're the ones directly behind her grave. So they're at the very top of the hill. They're just really cumbersome to get to. So I think logistically is going to be more the problem than anything else.
Could be $5,000 trees.
Yep, probably.
It's amazing how much it costs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start looking into that and I'll check the dates on those grants and see if something like that qualifies, because he's not wrong. I mean, they caused a ton of damage, but like you said, I don't know what we can do about it. So right now.
We'll wait for the tree board to give us a recommendation.
Is that group up and running?
Huh? They're meeting later this month.
Okay. I only vaguely knew that was even a thing, but I guess, okay, maybe we should, I don't even know who's on that.
It's soon to be a thing. Yeah.
Okay. Anything
Okay.
else? Go ahead.
Anna, I think that's a great idea. We'll go ahead and proceed with your idea for a grant, because those trees could be quite costly.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think that's a huge grant. That shouldn't be one that's super hard. So I'll start looking. If anybody comes across anything, let's just keep that on our radar as something we can address. I mean, there is the Preservation Alliance of West Virginia is working on getting a grant right now. They haven't been awarded it yet, but if they do, they picked that cemetery as one of their interested places to doing a cemetery workshop. That would be huge, because it would be just like the one that I attended last year. They run about $20,000, and the guy comes for several days. He basically sets up headstones. It wouldn't be run like a workshop, like the little bit brick building. It would just be run like he's coming in there and doing work, essentially. It would probably have AmeriCorps people there, attending as well, but it probably wouldn't be so much like a workshop, more as work time trying to preserve the cemetery. So if they selected us and 4 other cemeteries, so if that turns out to be a thing, hopefully they get it. I mean, that's $20,000 worth of work that we really need up there. So, and I'll keep you posted as I hear back from them. Okay. Where are we? Quarterly update, mayor's list.
I haven't done any more. The 1900s are pretty complete, but anything prior to that, I don't have yet.
Okay. What are you doing with it? I mean, I think I kind of heard sort of, but what are you doing with the mayor's
Just
list?
putting together a compilation of all of the mayors for the city of Weston.
Right.
And then I'm hoping to do photo collage upstairs.
Okay, cool. I know that I worked a little bit on it that one day and got you what I had, but when I have time, which is not going to be for the next couple of weeks, when I have time, I'll try to look at it again and see what I have for the dates you're missing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then as far as the quarterly newsletter, I have been working on this end of year report. So last year we didn't do a Q4, we just did the end of year report. I'm trying to get the newsletter done. I haven't had the time to finish it. So it's probably going to be next week. So if you guys are okay with me just sending the draft out in chat and you guys proofreading it, seeing if there's anything that you want changed on it. If you have anything to add to it, send it to me. And then I'm going to work with Jacob so that maybe next month he can start putting that stuff in. If you're comfortable with that, Jacob.
Yep, that's good.
Okay.
Were you able to utilize the stuff from Joe Obolensky?
Yes, it's just long and our space is small. So the part, trying to figure out how to put it in, formatting it, kind of the newsletter style where we're trying to keep it to 500 words is the challenge, right? Because it's not necessarily, so I might kind of, because we are doing the end of year report and we don't have a ton of articles, I might just let it be more wordy this time and just have it be what it is and just be okay with it. If anybody else has anything else they want added to that, just get it to me before next week. I'll have it to you guys next week. I have to get this other thing that's due in a week to SHPO done, so. But that's all I have on the quarterly stuff. CLG. Nate, do you have anything on the CLG?
What am I supposed to be doing? I'm sorry.
I
have nothing.
Okay, as far as, you guys are a CLG, so I don't know that we necessarily need to, I think we just need to go back, like Kristen said, and readdress our mission statement and what we're doing. That kind of fits under the scope of that. I think a lot of these grants are looking for CLGs or HLCs that fall under a CLG. This one we're applying for tomorrow basically is a CLG, but they're allowing HLCs to fall under that umbrella. So
do you
I
think we
think we
need to
already
re-up or
started.
something?
What's that?
We need to re-up, because I think we're listed as a CLG, aren't we?
Yes, I think you have to re-up every year. I think the city has to I have to submit our report, which is the one I'm working on every year. I don't know what the city's requirement is. I can find out. I have to talk to Meredith tomorrow anyway. I can find out what the CLG's annual requirement is. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, because when we looked at one of those things, I looked at the list of CLGs or this survey and planning grant. They've got a list on the website of who's eligible. We're on there.
Yeah. I don't know that you necessarily have to do it. I think you just initially apply for it and I think you stay on it as far as the city goes, but I'll find out. I think it has to do with your number of people in your community or something like that, but I'm not real familiar with that. So I'll find out tomorrow. I don't know. I know how the HLC one operates and that one is the report that I'm working on right now. That's the end of year report. So. PAWV email discussion of the Little Brick building.
I asked that we add that because I don't know who all got that email from PAWV, but
I think you and Kim maybe.
I didn't.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
that's my concern.
Yeah.
We got an email saying that, and I want to start by saying I have absolutely no idea about any of this.
I think it all took place on Facebook.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff took place on Facebook, but somehow it got back to PAWV that Lewis County first raised objections and did not want to perform the brick pointing at the brick building in the way that PAWV does it.
I think they were unhappy with what my understanding was. They were unhappy with the look or the aesthetic look of the mortar that was used, which Bob Yap had talked to Rod and Ray about that when it was being done and why they went with that. And my understanding, and this is just my understanding, was that they weren't happy with that situation. And I did go read the comments online between Robert and Ray, and basically that was the gist of what Ray had said, is that they were looking to have somebody finish up some work. It wasn't completed, so there is work that needs done. There's a chimney in there that didn't get repointed, and there's a little bit of work that wasn't finished, so that does need to be repointed. But Ray basically had said online that they were unhappy with the look of the mortar and they were looking to find a professional to redo it. And my understanding is they're upset because that was a very expensive project.
The bottom line, I think, is PAWV has said that they do not, well, I guess I should just read it. They have decided to have interactions between the Weston HLC AmeriCorps member. In terms of working with Lewis County First, be limited and must be pre-approved by PAWD.
So that would be anything Jacob does with them.
How about talk to Lewis County first?
I think. So I think it would be most appropriate if I forward this email to everyone.
Is Brian? Well, Brian is the president still, right? Kim?
No, Rod is.
Oh, Rod is, okay.
That email come from?
It came from.
Jamie and Danielle.
Who?
Danielle and Jamie. Danielle Parker, the one that headed the grant was Danielle Parker. I believe it was initiated by Danielle. Danielle
So-
was the one that was upset, was my understanding.
I think it originated from Robert's comment on Facebook that did we not attend our own class that the Preservation Alliance had? But I will say for the record, I was over there whenever the Preservation Alliance was doing that. And yes, Lewis County First wasn't happy because when they did the work on the outside, it ended up being whiter and not, it didn't look like the period. So Mr. Yap told them how to go around and fix some of that, but it's just been a matter of time. And of course, Billy Adler, who he showed how to do it, died.
Yeah.
What we were looking for on Lewis County First was someone to help with just not doing the work, but just instructing Lewis County First volunteers on how to do some of that work inside, which would amount to about 2 hours worth of instruction. And when the Preservation Alliance was there, they did not have the time. They were asked to show us how, but their time was limited. So that's my knowledge of everything.
I mean, I was there the whole week. I know how to do it. So when I'm back in town, I can show you guys how to do it. I have no problem with that. I mean, I went through the whole week. So I mean, I know how to do it. I know how to mix the mortar. I have the mortar sample information. It's not that difficult. There are 2 guys that work at Tala. I don't know if they were really, really good. Like they were workhorses. I would say out of all the people who attended the whole week, they were the best that were there. I'm sure that those 2 guys would be willing to come finish the chimney, which I think Ray had mentioned in the Facebook thing still needed to be done. Because that pointing there, it was a week long. We just didn't have the time to do it all. I think that they might be interested in coming and finishing that portion. I know that they've been doing the repoint. They've had more experience since then because they've been repointing at the asylum since that workshop. So
Well, I would appreciate receiving that email and I'll share it with Rod on Lewis County First. I just don't think it was very professional to over dramatize a Facebook post when a simple phone call to the people in charge could have sufficed.
yeah, like I said, I think that I didn't comment. I didn't even engage on any of it. I basically just stayed out of it. So, I mean, I think
we need to ask if they have formal stipulations about what the AmeriCorps person can and cannot do. I think that needs to be addressed in writing to the city. And to-
I think that was the intention of the email. I think that's what they were saying is,
Yeah, but it didn't, I mean, actually, we got that kind of vague thing and I had to ask her what that meant. And then
what did she respond with?
that's what she responded with. That
Okay.
was the response.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I saw the response part. Okay.
And I agree with Kim. I don't think it's professional to go one thing to this person and one thing to this.
I'm not on the email, am I?
No,
I'm the site supervisor. right?
yes, but that's I wanted it on the agenda because.
Well, and I don't know that I was copied on the original thing either. I think it might have been you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I don't.
Yes, send it to all of us.
Okay.
We'll work through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's one thing I think is I think it doesn't do us any good to pit any one group against. We have so few volunteers in this community. We all need to figure out how to work together. So whatever that looks like, we need to figure it out. Danielle has spoken to Ray in the past. I know she has Ray's phone number and I know that Ray was personally on that chain of exchanges. And I don't think she reached out to him directly to discuss the building. I don't really know what else to say about that, other than I think that probably needs to be handled with Danielle and maybe Nate even. Danielle and Nate maybe should have a conversation.
I'm thinking.
I agree. I think if they have formal stipulations, I think it needs to be on record with everybody and not just.
A select few over social
Yeah,
media.
I just.
Well, yeah, and I think that Rebecca was one of the primaries on that email and, you know, she's resigned, so that's a problem, so.
How about this? I'll call Danielle and talk to her about it for some clarification at this point. I'm a little
I think,
confused.
yeah, I think that's perfect. I think that's good. And then, like I said, when I'm in town, Kim, if you guys haven't figured out somebody, and I'll also reach out to Rebecca, I'm sure she'll give me the names and contact of how those two guys, and I can get them over to Rod or whoever is working on that project and see if they're willing to help do I think he said the chimney still needed to be done, right?
There is, the picture was on Facebook. It was just a section where it needed, remortared, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Repointed, yeah.
There's a gap in there, but it's nothing real big.
Okay. Like I said, I also have that information and stuff, and I mean, I certainly was not the best repointer there. So if we have somebody who has a little more repointing experience, I'll gladly help them mix the mortar, and then we can, whoever wants to do the repointing can do the repoint. It's not difficult, you know, it's time consuming.
I think the concern is that the pointing didn't match.
Well, and he explained that. I was present when he explained it. You know, the reason it doesn't match is because it's not 200 years old. It takes time to match, you know, it's the exact composition of what is in there. It's the exact material that came out of that building. We had it analyzed and we had it mixed and made exactly as what came out of there. So it's exactly what came out of there. It's just not old, you know, and there's really, he did say there are tenting options and stuff like that that they could do. And that might be something, you know, maybe that's something they need to look at, is just having it tented.
They were going to, Billy was.
Yeah. So I think that might be something that, you know, and I think you can do like an after tent. I think you can go over it kind of like with a sprayer. And you could even, you know, if it's really that, you know, offensive to people, they could go ahead and spray. It's kind of like spray paint. You put it in like a gun and it's more of like a stain solution with water or something like that. We didn't do that. He didn't talk about that. The only thing that he did show them how to do was do the cigar staining. And that is basically, he lit some cigars and they basically used the cigars to stain the mortar. And that is what he showed them how to do. That's what he showed Billy how to do.
Ancient technique.
And again, you either gotta have somebody that's really interested in smoking a lot of cigars, exactly, or, you know,
Cigars for New Year's, darn.
just every time you're over there, just start putting them out on the building. I don't know what to tell you.
How long does it take for that stuff to match? When you said it's not old, does it take?
100 years.
Well, it's gonna take it several years for sure. I mean, you know, because there's organic compounds and stuff, it's gonna take it time.
Continue to age. The other option is to paint it, you know, paint the brick.
That would not be advisable by SHPO. They would tell you no.
I'm joking, Anna, it's okay.
That would be the last thing you do.
I'm sorry on Nate's face about painting over brick.
She pulled the pin out of the grenade. threw it in.
I did.
Yeah. All right. But I do agree, Nate. I think you should reach out to Danielle and have a conversation with her and just feel it out, because
we're all in agreement that that's not something we really want to stay in, right? I think that's crazy.
well, I think we are not a big enough community for that to even be, and nor is the situation even really, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, I mean, we just need to address the situation and deal with it, I think. Instead of saying somebody can't do something, let's just deal with it.
Yeah. All right, sounds good.
Okay. Comprehensive plan. I'm supposed to meet with Dan sometime next week. I guess I'll reach out to him tomorrow and find out if he's feeling better, but I don't have a lot of updates. Have you guys brought anything you wanted to add to the comprehensive plan? Okay.
I have not.
Okay. So I think at this point, just getting I saw that you posted the survey, Kim. I think at this point, we're just waiting for whatever feedback they need from us, and it's going to be basically on the historic district. So if you guys have anything you want included or added to that, I basically just think that we'll continue to facilitate Dan and the planning commission however we can. So at this point, I think it's really up to them. I'm not even sure what stage. I know they have a meeting. Is it this week?
We just had one yesterday and Dan seemed to be fine. And we have 12 surveys that were disseminated amongst the members, just to kind of review. And we're getting mailing labels ready and we will be sending out the surveys to different businesses and organizations in Lewis County. And then after we do all of that and we get some responses in, we'll be setting up a public hearing.
Okay, perfect. So I think realistically, just somebody from this group probably needs to be present at those public hearings in case there's anything about the historic district or anything like that. I think that's the extent right now, unless they ask for any additional help. Facade grant, Sherry.
It's in your packet. If you remember, last month, we didn't have a quorum, so what we did was kind of just worked on the wording, and I made all of the corrections that we had from last time, Anna. If you remember, Mike Sterrett was here and he made some suggestions.
Yep.
And then you made some suggestions. I think that your suggestion was including hard landscape such as steps and sidewalks and things of that nature. What you have in your packet, unless you want, Judy has here on the agenda, and thank you, Judy, for that, that it's for alterations or approval. To catch you up, this is the facade grant would be for commercial or residential properties. And depending on our budget, we were hoping that we could go up to $5,000, a matching grant for the city to partnership with the citizens and residents and businesses for the facade of their buildings. What our thoughts were, if a resident needed a roof, they could spend $5,000, we could spend $5,000, and we could put a roof and get some of these homes dried in, which would, a lot of them are 100 years old, and it would help preserve them. Also, as far as the front facade exterior, that could go, even if someone wanted to power wash some of the stores downtown, we could pay that. Of course, if you look in here, there are, unfortunately, we have to have rules and specifications, and it would run through HLC because we are working in our historic area oftentimes. And even if we're not working in the historic area, it very well may be a historic home. So it just made sense to for the HLC to be a part of that. So I'm really excited about it. We also included exterior lighting, installation of awnings or trim or millwork. Debbie, I know the Glass Museum has talked about awnings. And they've also talked about making a more uniform front facade to their so for their building. So we can improve our entire community. And I think that the importance of adding not just businesses but residents as well. It was a way for us to give back to our community and for everyone to get on board. Different properties and.
Did the city approve an outline, like a amount of money for this first round? I know we didn't get awarded the grant, or where do we stand on that portion?
Where we stand is, I had a meeting with Nate and he wanted HLC to iron out the particulars and then take it to him for the budget, and then we take it to council. And that will depend on the budget, which Nate will have a pretty good idea as to how much money we can invest in it, correct?
Yeah, or
Unless I get a grant.
or it's or like ARPA, if we wanted to put a portion of ARPA funds towards something like that. I think
Is that legal?
I think so.
Yes, I think it is.
Historic renovation was one of the things that was originally called out in dilapidated buildings, so
And
I would think-
infrastructure and we're including sidewalks.
I think that's fine. But it's really at that point, I think we just kind of sit down and say, how many grants do we want to have? And if you're, I'm just trying to do some simple math here. It said a maximum grant funding request not to exceed 12,500.
So we have that?
Yeah, that's a little,
I think that was the old number. I think we talked about
Yeah.
5,000,
We
right? I
didn't
think that
catch
needs
that.
changed.
We
Yeah.
didn't catch that.
So, yes, it's some
Got it.
clarity on that. I think what we're trying to accomplish there.
Okay, so.
We
yeah,
talked about 5,000, I think is what we talked about, right?
Yes,
There's a maximum assistance 5,000, then like the number says, for example, if an applicant is approved for the program undertakes $10,000 of improvements, the amount of assistance made available would be $10,000. But I don't think that's right, right? If we're gonna say maximum assistance is $5,000. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, but what I think what I meant here, for example, if an applicant is approved for the program and undertakes $10,000 of improvements. The amount of assistance made available would be, oh, my math is terrible.
Oh, imagine $100.
Would be 5,000.
Okay,
and then you'd have to take care of that first sentence. The program provides 100% reimbursement.
yeah, yeah.
That's not accurate.
50%.
I think we're doing 50/50 up to $5,000, right?
Correct.
Where it says to commercial, or I think that's supposed to be residential, isn't it?
Commercial or, yeah, residential. All right. With the maximum request not to exceed 5,000, right?
I think that's a good place to start. If we get a grant or we get money, I mean, that lets somebody, fix their sidewalk. It lets them repaint the front facade. It could do some awnings. That's kind of what we talked about as a starting point until we find more money. I mean,
Yeah,
I
the
think
last
that
sentence
seems
I got
reasonable.
right. To receive the maximum assistance of $5,000, the building owner would need to invest at least $10,000 in improvements. So I did get that right. This is why you guys need to check me.
Can you send me the draft as it stands when you get a chance, Sherry, just so I have an electronic version that's been the updated version?
Yeah.
Thank
Can
you.
I throw a couple things out here just for consideration?
Yeah.
What do you think about tiering? I mean, we've got this maximum amount of $5,000 in you. Let's say we had $50,000. That's only what, 10 awards, right? And that, which is fine, that'd be good. But what if you tiered, you said, we're gonna have 5 awards of $5,000 and we're gonna have some smaller pots, for smaller projects or something like that. Is that?
I think that that is what we should do,
Absolutely.
but I also think that that doesn't necessarily need to be on the information that we give out to the public as far as awarding it, but whatever metrics we use, we need to write them down and they need to be set in stone. So there
Cool.
can't be any favoritism, there can't be any of that, how we're doing the money. So the rules of how we pick and select need to be outlined very well.
I think that my intent was also if, we live in a predominantly elderly community with people with set incomes and set budgets, and if someone wanted to paint their porch, and paint is now $60-some a gallon, that's kind of pricey out of
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah,
budget. And if they wanted to paint their front porch, or perhaps hire someone because they're not physically able to paint their front porch, that we would pay half of that. If they have $300 in painting their front porch,
Yeah.
I'd like to pay half of that for them.
Is there any income guidelines?
No,
So I can be a millionaire and apply for this facade grant.
sure. Sure do. You might not get it.
Okay.
Oh, you got something you need done there?
A lot of stuff.
Well, and I guess that's kind of my thought, is like, maybe you do want to give a few,
So I'm saying.
Some
yeah,
thoughts of the big
you
thing,
just
right?
need Discretion of the HLC.
Well, I think that we can do the, on the other end of our
Okay.
guidelines determination. But for the first year, you're not gonna know a lot of these things until you put it out there. I'm all about jumping in the water and check, check for lots later.
I think you need, yeah,
Of
not to make it complicated, but I think you need an on-site inspection, so you need.
Oh,
to bring
of
your
course.
person. And then maybe an interview with the homeowner as to what's the
Sure.
long range picture you're working on. You don't want to just
That's what I see.
build this little
I'm flipping this house, so I wanna.
Yeah,
take the
yeah,
$1,000,
exactly.
but, yeah.
I think based on the mission as it exists in those founding documents, which is we should be actually encouraging people to get on the National Register, which that would be a great conversation. You know, are you trying to rehab your property so that you can become a part of the historic district, or you, so I think we definitely need to think about having those conversations. And I think in light of like how old this 1999
1998, I think was.
something establishing, maybe put in this grant that every year we'll review to see what funding is available, so that this doesn't, you know, in 20 years, this program isn't being updated. Because this is the kind of program we need to have in this city, and we need to stay on top of it and keep it like, keep getting funding for it where we can.
But I can also see the HLC working with residents and commercial properties to be a resource.
Absolutely.
And for them to come and have a conversation with us, have a conversation with Marty, our code enforcement officer. And to provide some resources to these folks and help them make some determinations, perhaps in color or in, I mean, for heaven's sakes, we have Brenda Reed at our disposal, who has a world of photos and information. And she may very well have a photo of someone's house or a description and that those colors in there. And, you know, I'm really excited about the
I am
program.
too. This is the kind of program that can start bringing the public to this group, and those are the conversations that should happen.
And it could also build an appreciation for older historic homes as well. And to preserve them.
I think one thing we can consider too for this pot of money is when we're having those public meetings at the, you know, the summer concert and those handouts that we've created, we should add this program to it. So people know, you know, I've gotten several private donations for the cemetery so far. If people know that we have a pot of money that goes back to the improvement of people's homes, we might get in-kind donations towards that fund. And to be able to outline a pot of money so people know where their money is going. And if they give us a $500 donation, they know it's going to this facade grant program. It might be beneficial to think about that from an in-kind standpoint as where we can get that money as well. Because like I said, so far I've gotten almost $3,000 in the past couple of years just for the cemetery work. So it's, you know, not a ton of money, but it's money.
You hear these businesses all the time complain about how crappy we look, for lack of a better word, you know. Thinking about the hospital where they bring people out, and this is something they can contribute to, right? A fund right there to directly affect those kinds of issues in their town. So
You're right.
I think it's good.
Okay, guys, so any other corrections you want me to make? I will correct these. And Judy will put it on the agenda again for approval.
Put a sentence in that says we'll review every year. Just to make sure we have funding from the city and make sure we have, like, we know how many.
If that's something, you know, awards depending, grants depending on availability of funds.
Absolutely.
Of funding.
Even where you describe that top limit,
Yeah.
put a statement in there like that. Or
Maybe some years was a bad year. Sorry. You know,
Grant warrants depend on availability of
funding.
And we'll be reviewed yearly.
Yeah, and Sherry, if you want to send that to me electronically, I can try to outline those like the standard guidelines that I think I already have. I have somewhere that I can send those to you and you can kind of modify them as how you see they fit. Because basically, if it's going to be this group sitting down and having a subcommittee meeting and, you know, awarding those at whatever that deadline is, then we need to make sure that we're all in agreement that, you know, there's got to be like a grading scale on how we rate these people's applications to importance, priority, whatever those reasons are, so that it's not, you know, somebody's brother and uncle getting all of the, you know, because we just have to have some parameters in place and they need to be set in stone. So if you want to send me that and I'll send you what I have, and then at our next meeting or at the wherever it goes on, that way when we send this to the city, we can send it to them all together for them to approve, like our approval guidelines.
Sure. Here's the thing, Nate, when are we gonna start working on budgeting? We're gonna have a deadline here.
February.
Yeah.
February. So I think if you guys have that by your next meeting, you'll be fine. And you
Okay,
guys, I mean, you need to put in a budget request. Your next meeting in February, you need to put that on your agenda, is to kind of outline a budget request.
okay.
So we can
Well,
have.
can we, with what we have now, decide what we think that should be? Are we able to do that tonight and put a motion on the table for what we think that amount should look like to send it to city council? And then over the next couple of weeks, we can work on the fine tuning of the paperwork so that when we get to that meeting where they have to approve it, we can send them our final copy.
$100,000.
I like that number, Sherry. I'm not sure Nate's gonna agree with you.
I know.
He's over there having a heart attack. I can't see his face, but I can feel it.
That'll give him a heart attack.
50.
I think 50 is good. That's 10 grants. You don't have to give it.
And just like Nate said, it doesn't have to be 10 grants. I mean, maybe we get one, maybe it works out to be 100 small grants. You don't know, you know?
It's a starting point for negotiations.
Does somebody want to make a motion that that's what we asked the city for this facade grant?
I make a motion, we ask the city for $50,000 for the facade.
Does anybody want to second that? What did she say?
Yeah.
She wanted to know if it was cutting into her flower budget.
Beautification is where we're gonna put all this stuff.
We are beautifying.
We are. I second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Is this
Any
something we see Jacob administering when you start?
what do you think? Your thoughts?
On,
The grant, and if you want to, administer, can you see yourself doing that? If you want some alterations to this, your thoughts? Not to put you on the spot, but we're not just gonna tell you what to do.
You scared him, Sherry.
Sorry.
yeah, it's not really, I just haven't
Just your
thought about it too
input.
much. I mean, overall, it's obviously a positive thing. Any improvement is good. As far as any of the specifics, I'd have to think more about.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, just think about
I
it.
think it would be good if you could at least review the submissions and offer your opinion to the group.
Yes,
I think there's gonna be paperwork, there's gonna be, you're gonna need to file on them, you're gonna have to set up meetings and meet with people. I think that's all your wheelhouse.
I think we're making a lot of work for you, Josh, or Jacob, sorry.
You said go ahead for Josh.
All right,
and if you have any input, I just want you to feel welcome to,
Yeah,
to provide your input and your thoughts and your opinion. Don't feel obligated, but always feel most welcome.
Yeah.
all right, so I think that was a all in favor, it sounded like to me. Was there any additional discussions? All right, motion carries. We're asking Nate for 50 grand. Sorry, Nate.
I'll write the check tomorrow. That's what we're asking that in the budget process. That's what we're making the motion for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll work on over the next couple of weeks, we'll work on getting the document fine tuned and coming back to you guys with something that has been.
You guys need an HLC budget too, right? I mean, I'd put that in your HLC budget request.
So we had already approved and sent the HLC budget to you. Did that ever get approved? I never heard back.
When did you send that?
4 months ago.
I mean,
I thought we
approved,
last
yeah,
year, we
we-
approved some money for it, yeah.
I mean, you guys have a budget this year, we approved, but
Okay,
in March, we're gonna set the budget for July 1.
gotcha. Okay.
You just need to put your budget together for July 1 to June 30th of 2024.
So
Okay.
do you think that we have enough now, when I make these changes, that we can at least include it in our February council packet? For council to read it, so. And they're aware of it before it comes up on the agenda for a vote and approval.
I don't see any reason you could put on there as a discussion item, sit there and say,
That's
this
what
is
I- yeah,
what we're kind of
This is
thinking.
what, just to make them
Email
aware,
it to
so there's no
us.
surprises.
Say,
Yeah.
if there's any, that gives you another month, right, to kind of. I mean, honestly, like, if you're gonna ask for a number, I think you've got this documentation, it's kind of the work of the program, right? It's really not gonna go into effect until July 1, most
Sure.
likely, unless I guess we do ARPA and just make it immediate,
Sure.
open it right up. So that gives you a little bit more time if you need to fine tune.
Well, I was gonna say, I think we probably need some time to get the team together and whose
Yeah.
responsibility and What?
But I wanted council to know what we're working on.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Hey, Sherry, do you want me to kind of put that into, once you send me that document and we go back and forth a little bit on getting that fine tuned, do you want me to put it in something formal for you to put in that packet?
If you want to.
Just so that it has like the application that people will fill out and all that stuff, just kind of go and kind of finalize a document that we could use. That way we have like a working document that we could
Yes.
actually put out. Okay.
Second page of this has an application.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. It's the one I did a while back. I haven't messed with that in a while, but I figured I could clean it up and try to make it a little more professional. I mean, what I sent you that first time was pretty rough, so.
Well, we've been working off of it. It's not as rough as what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Getting better, but thank you, Anna.
Okay, all right. Street sign project, that would be Sherry and Debbie.
I just sent you the picture. Anna,
You sent it to me on my phone or,
on your phone.
okay,
This is the one he redid. He changed the color. I think originally the lettering was in the gold yellow and this was still white, and we asked him to make it into the green.
okay, I see it.
Now he says I'm not keen on the white.
The white background.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
what
what
would
do
you
you
like?
guys think? I mean, I'm one person here.
I'm not keen on the white myself, but I
Yeah,
mean,
he says, but if you kind of lose the intricate of the design. If,
The only thing I'll say is when it starts to get dusk, sometimes those white signs are a little easier to see.
I was gonna say, coming from a school from deaf and blind background. Sorry, I worked on the vision side. I'm all about the vision part, and you think about it being a street sign, you know, you think about contrast. And I think the contrast here is great.
oh, it is, I mean, it's a
And-
pretty sign.
Yes, but the contrast with the green and the white, and there's very little visual clutter on here. And so that's just my opinion, whatever you guys wanna.
We think like a light cream.
Well, I was thinking about one of these colors up in here. For this part.
I'm going with the Weston logo and not the historic landmark logo.
That's what,
I think originally we talked about the HLC logo for the historic district, but I think it's.
I don't think he has that logo.
No, that's not that logo.
I don't have, one, yeah, because I don't have the logo for that, so I wasn't able to give it to him.
We can give it to him. We have that, don't we, Anna?
Yes, I can forward it to her.
That might change the look of the sign too.
Yeah, because I think that everything here has been built around
Yes,
that logo.
It really looks nice though.
I think it does. I
think
like
it's-
it personally.
I like it as
I like it as
it
it
is.
is.
Can we possibly
I think
put
it's-
something? We put some print down here about historic district or something like that. I don't know. If you wanted to. Or,
I
I think landmark commission should be on there somewhere.
that's what I mean, somewhere, or, you know, we could put it down here, or even City of Weston Landmark Commission here.
I guess once you get the other logo there, he might even wrap it. A little bit on the bottom.
What if you put your landmark logo up on top and we have the city of Weston font, or just the regular word, and you just had, instead of having our logo, just had city of Weston.
Just have it say City of Weston. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you wanted this down here to be City of Weston,
Yeah, without the logo, just maybe that font.
and the historic landmark logo up
Up there.
here.
So it's a little less busy.
cluttered.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
You don't wanna get too.
And it could be real
visually
small
cluttered.
letters, you know, it could be real small, I don't know. Just throwing ideas at you, I don't care.
it's pretty. I like,
It doesn't look like Buchanan's, I'll give you that, I don't want it to.
Oh, I have theirs. I have theirs
Good.
but,
and a picture in here.
okay,
It's not.
Let's see it with the other logo.
with the other logo,
Mhm.
can
Then
somebody
we can
send that to
decide.
me?
Yeah.
And could we see both of them side by side so we can?
Yeah, he'll make it.
Are you attached to the green? I missed that comment.
We like, well, this was white last time,
Okay,
with the
Yes.
outline of,
cannons.
Oh, what color was it outlined here?
I think it's visually correct.
The lettering
Looking
was
at it from a
yellow.
visual standpoint.
Was it blue still? I think it was blue. It was still blue here. And then it had
See how visually cluttered?
John
that is?
Street in yellow.
Yeah,
And we said we wanted to see this as the green
I know.
and with the white lettering.
Green looks like a street sign,
Yes,
I mean, state road,
yes.
right off the middle, street sign, I mean, if that's the look of what, it's fine.
But it will help blend, it will help provide some uniformity with our other street signs
Okay.
that are not being put. You know, it's gonna look intentional, I think. And I do like the blue. I think it's very subtle.
Blue, this is,
This
is navy.
Oh, it really is subtle.
Yeah, it was blue. Yeah, this is navy.
Okay.
Next time, I can have Johnny probably come here and he can hear your ideas, which is easier for him to hear. And then, but I think the last time we said we
What do you think?
designed
Jacob?
this around this,
So where do these go?
just from like West Second Street, River Avenue, over to Court, and then down to Fourth, where the middle school
Our
is.
historic area.
The district that you're working.
Yes.
Yeah, so. I like the look of it, the only thing there's something about. This logo here, I don't like.
Does anybody have that handy, our logo, our historic landmark logo, that he can see it?
I think it's on our Facebook, right now, it's on our Facebook page, hold on.
Real, and more classic look to the overall.
So
sign,
anything
and
can
that
be changed.
Yeah.
Real vibrant look.
Yeah, anything can be changed.
Is that the actual side of it?
Yeah.
That,
This is what he went over,
Yes.
measured by the end. This is,
big compared to it, but.
Yeah, but once you get it up there, it doesn't look that big.
but we also wanted to have something that
Yeah.
blended into
Yeah.
the 2-hour parking.
That looks a lot better.
Oh, that's gonna make all the difference.
Yeah.
Don't you
Hey,
think?
Kim, I just sent it to you. Do you have your phone? I sent it to you on,
We got up on
Yes,
the,
I did. I have it.
oh, okay.
I got it.
send it to
I
Debbie,
think that,
Send it to Debbie? Okay,
yeah, but we've got the image up on the screen right now,
okay.
I don't think it's a high quality version, but.
No, I don't think it's a high quality version.
Now, see this on either side? Yeah. Makes sense. And I say we don't put like the city of Weston logo or the city of Weston on there, we put historic, because it already says Weston.
Yeah.
On it, the Weston Historic Landmark Commission. I like it.
I mean, it might make it look a little more historic as well, because I would have to say the city of Weston's logo is somewhat modern looking.
It is. Uh-huh,
She sent it to me, so I sent it.
great idea.
Okay.
All right, so.
In blue,
We think about putting just
Leave
Weston at
green.
the bottom of it.
leave the green.
Well, Weston is included in the HLC's logo. I think it says Weston.
But that's the group's name, I'm just saying. We've got our brand too, right? City Weston, I'm just saying. All right. I got both of them.
Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
All right, so we want to remove this,
Uh-huh.
this whole city of Weston thing and just put the logo inside the
Yes.
circle.
Yes,
This is staying the same.
that's saying the same.
This is all staying the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
And
And
are we putting anything at the bottom?
No.
Okay.
the logo, I think we leave the green circle here. And then we put that logo in here.
That's why I said we're only thing
And-
we're taking this out and putting that in
And the
this
logo
place.
in the navy.
I'm gonna fight with you again for a second.
One more time,
One more time.
one more time.
What about that screams out that it's historic?
The historic,
Outside the logo,
outside what?
outside the logo. If you get real close, you can read the logo and say, oh, yes, it's a historic marker.
I think it has a classic look for one thing. It's. Yes,
And I think I'm taking issue with the green. I think it's where I'm driving.
the green.
Is because
The way the street sign looks modern. I mean, is that what you're implying, Nate?
a little bit, but also like. I mean, maybe this is driving down. Highway too much, right? But every. Blackwater Falls, right? It's got a brown sign,
Right.
you know, and that kind of
Street
thing. right?
signs have
You put
great signs.
that
Bridges.
the memorial sign, we made that brown, that was the mayor's call, actually.
Yeah.
But we both had that conversation, like, we wanted it to be something that, it's a, when you see the brown sign, right, it triggers something that's a novelty for some reason, right? And I'm not partial brown, I'm just saying that. Want to make that comment.
I think it's.
Tan or brown.
Launches with other street signs,
Because we can't begin to replace all of
We're
them.
not gonna-
No.
but if we are going to change the color. I think I would say do like Minuteman blue, so that at least that's a. Community continuity, a blue that's.
Nah, I don't know. No, I don't think a royal, I mean, it'd be the blue like is down in the corner right there.
Red. Well,
That's
Bridgeport.
orange.
and then when you get into the grays, you're having different issues again. I like the green
I
personally.
like the green as well, I think,
I think it ties in with. the
I
other street
think,
signs.
I think the shape of that, I think the shape of that sign, or what.
Do you think it needs to be smaller because we can downsize it?
No, I
You
think
like
once
the
you
big-
put it up, it's not gonna be as.
Now, here's the thing, we have to figure out, and I said he could work with Mike on this. Which ones are gonna have to be two-sided?
Right,
Which ones could be
right,
one-sided?
right.
Are they in Buchanan, they two-sided, or all their streets one way?
I don't know. I don't know that we got that.
I think they are double-sided.
So
I
I
think they got a
think,
loop in top of them, don't they, kind of hang there and
Oh,
swing?
no, here.
well, so you're gonna have to get
Yes.
the brackets and the.
Yeah, so
Of course,
they're
that would just be-
double-sided.
yeah.
I say double-sided them all, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that, but he told me to ask, but I said pretty sure, the double-sided.
We're going kind of a similar effect, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna try to hang them out there like our.
You
parking.
definitely don't want one side being white or like a solid color. Like, when we hung up the military banners, like you realize we only drive one way, but like when people are walking the other way, it's really weird that you have banners that have nothing on the backside. That was something, I mean, that's kind of the same feeling you're gonna get from those signs if they're blank on the back.
Yeah, I agree with you. All the historical markers are double-sided, aren't they? Yeah, it's the white ones.
You know, that's so
Hey.
funny. You walk by them every day, you drive by them every day.
Only see one time on there.
I know.
Alright, so the
I'll have to
logo
drive the wrong
here,
way and tell you that.
and do we want that logo in what, blue,
Yeah, the navy.
in the navy blue? And then everything else stays the same. We like the white,
I do.
we wanna keep the white.
I've been outvoted every time, so I'll keep my mouth.
Like to see like a tan here, but.
I think for dirt purposes, if it's pure white, you're gonna see dust on that all the time.
Well, he also recommended like laminating it to the covering of her mouth too, and that will protect them.
Yeah.
From the elements. So one side it was 130.
Oh, look what you did.
They put cans essentially like, they've got a piece of sheet metal, don't they? And they basically had a sticker. That was a sticker.
Yeah,
down
this is
there.
what it's gonna be.
That's what it's
It's
gonna
gonna
do?
be, and of course, over the casting is where he's gonna get his, so everything will be made locally.
Okay,
And that's important.
so he's just gonna make, double stickers, right? And he's gonna stick it on one side and stick it on the other. Okay.
No, and we said we would do this in phases because we don't want to. Let's big cost out at one time,
I
if
say
that's what we want to do with it.
maybe reduce the facade grant down to 40,000, and about all the signs with that. I think we need to price it all out. So,
We do, we
and
do.
Do we know where we're gonna stick them? What
I
street?
think I sent that
Yeah.
before in the email. I sent
Look
it
at our
back.
locations and say, we need a sign here or there.
But I think it's gonna add so much to
I agree.
The place making.
the downstairs. Now, I do have one question about a blank sign that's up right now. It's up here on the bridge. When you're driving from West Second in towards the Columbia Club, you look at that last pole, there's a blank sign that's hanging up
That's
Yeah.
all
on the left side, right side.
at this, like in the street light.
No, it's attached to the bridge. Like here's the line, here's like-
there
and
you-
you- that
Oh,
middle-
West Second Street.
Yes. yes.
Yeah, there is one.
Did we put welcome to the historic district on there or something? Cause it's just a blank sign.
I think it's like no parking, you can hear the corner or something.
No, it's-
Yeah.
I have
What
no,
are we gonna do? I don't
but
know.
it's just blank right there. You know what I'm talking about? I think I do.
It's where we could have had a light there. just
Yes.
Kind of bracket.
Yeah, this is kind of bracket.
Okay.
Metal trim there.
Is that the same color green as our welcome? I think it is.
That would be nice. if
Looks
it's
like
tied in. Yeah,
I will have them match. You can come
I,
down.
I
You can
just
sit
showed
up.
up.
that's a good
Ooh,
idea.
that portion.
That is.
It's a good idea. It is important to be uniform. Good job.
You know,
Okay, you're back up to 50,000.
Don't take my flowers.
Right, so that's all.
Okay.
Can I add a little bit to, I mean, it's kind of, since it's an agenda item. We talked about at one point picking a style for streetlights.
Yep.
And I don't know if we've gotten that far or not, but the mayor and I had a conversation today with Department of Highways about the new bridge they're putting in Hillville.
Yeah,
And I think we may have won the war. I don't know. if we
Really?
won or not.
Maybe.
With
I'm
streetlights?
concerned.
Okay.
Maybe.
And so. It sounds like we may, I mean, we're gonna have to pay for it, there's no doubt about it, but.
right.
We may be able to get 4 to 6 lights, 3 to 6 lights, I should say. They're gonna work on a change order with the design, to see if they can put the pedestals in, so we'll have to install the lights. They kind of want to know how tall lights we want, that way they know the weight and all that other stuff to figure that out.
Fairmont, when you go, it's that big bridge. What is that bridge?
The Gateway
Merchant-
connector?
No, one down. One that when you're going into Fairmont itself, is that Merchant Street Bridge?
Cause I thought you
Check
meant the
that.
lights that were downtown existing.
Oh, I do.
And that was kind of my thought, was stick those times up, I
Yeah.
mean, we could go a little bit shorter, I guess, if we wanted
With
to.
what we have down there. That way it will tie,
Deegan's Garage.
tie in with what we
Mr.
have.
Edwards,
Yes,
it should be something similar towards them, I would think. Not kind of not, you know, but I do have a concern about
Okay.
the whole bridge. It's not so much the bridge. I have a concern about the turn there where the station is for the sanitary department.
yeah,
That is such a narrow turn right there, and I think it's a discussion we need to have with the DOH. I think they need to buy that house.
Yeah.
And widen that out, because I think you're gonna have accidents there now that you're gonna have a bigger traffic flow. And that's my word.
Okay. We may, I mean, everybody, they didn't seem to think that the traffic was gonna change, but we brought up West Second, I mean, I live closer to West Second Street, that was more important on my list, Debbie, I'm sorry. And I'm sitting there saying, right now, when I take my daughter to St. Pat's in the morning, I'm coming out and I can't go West Second because I can't get into traffic there. And I think when you put the bridge here and you get rid of 4th Street, you're gonna have more problems at that intersection, so we did discuss that today too. But from that discussion, I didn't seem like there was a whole lot of. Wasn't like they said, well, look at our traffic study here, nobody pointed anything like that, it was like, well, we'll see what happens. And, take it from
Yeah,
there.
they really didn't have any
Yeah,
hard and fast data.
I think that they're really, their approach is, we'll see what happens, didn't you feel like
But
that?
we
one?
did mention that turn, and they said that they felt that there was just gonna be mostly local traffic in that area.
Because I have to go down that way.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm not fighting the traffic at West Second Street.
Right. So it's essentially everybody on my side, if we don't go West Second, we're gonna go all the way back to Hillville, right, to come back into town then to get over there. Kind of things.
And you're going right through that turn?
That, we're going to that turn. Yeah. See,
But the discussions have only begun as far as managing this North River Avenue and West Second Street. So they promised they'd take a look at it.
so we probably don't need anything definite from you guys, but I think we've got to get that style picked out for lights. With with the pole and the fennel and all that stuff here.
it's great.
Do you have the options available? I know it's been a while since we talked about that. Can you send those back out, Nate?
I can do that.
Okay.
We'll figure out, I guess we'll have to downtown.
I don't know. Doesn't matter, why don't you just go ahead and do it?
Right, that's all I had, sorry.
Okay. All right. So the next is Weston Historic Landmark Commission election and officers. Clearly, we had a resignation from Rebecca. Brian hasn't been here for our last several meetings, so I'm not really sure where we stand with Brian. Do we know if he is planning on continuing? Kim, do you have any idea?
I believe that he does want to continue. His schedule is difficult right now because of working for both the marshal's office and the Upshur County Sheriff's Department.
People would stop doing bad things. Brian could get here.
And I will ask him for a
Yeah.
definitive.
Yeah, ask him for sure. And I think we need to, you know, I guess put I know that we do it with all of our committees, you know, we don't have people lining up with applications, but I mean, across the board, all of our committees need people. We need people. We need people who are interested in being on the committee because this is a fairly busy group. So if you guys know of anybody, try to get them to submit applications and so that we can get them in, review them and get them to council because we need people. It's really hard. Like our last meeting, we didn't even have a quorum. So this is typically also our meeting that we hold elections. We typically do that in January. I'm not really sure how to proceed with only 2 of us here available for elections. So I don't know what to do. Nate, do you have any suggestions for us?
Or
Is there anything that says we have to do it today?
It just says at the beginning of the year, I believe that historically, we've always done it in December. We pushed it to January because we didn't have a quorum last meeting. But the problem is we don't really have anybody to fill those seats right now. So I'm not sure we can proceed without more people in attendance.
I don't really want to be a stickler, but we have to address these old founding documents because they say we're supposed to notify the city council when we have a vacancy. So
we talked about that earlier. I'm going to send a formal email. I sent the email when Rebecca resigned. So I guess get back to me on what Brian says, Kim, and then I'll just make a formal email from the HLC's email about both of them. If he wants to continue, then it'll just be about Rebecca's vacancies. But technically we have 5 spots, right? And that doesn't include our 2 city officials because our 2 city officials technically are city officials, correct?
No, Sherry is a member of the Historic Landmarks Commission.
But I'm here, I mean, if we have somebody who's really interested, I'll be here as a city official instead of as a voting member. I don't mind, you know, but it's just hard to fill these positions with volunteers, so.
Yeah, well, it's not like we have anybody lining up. I don't think we have any applications right now is the problem. Also, we have the issue of I can't be the same position again. According to our bylaws, I can't be me again. I've already done both twice, so I don't know what we're out of people and we're out of people to do this job. So
Do it, you could be president. It says you can't do it 2 years in a row unless there's some other document that's not in existence.
no, I can be president again. I can't be vice president again because I've done that now. I've done president, but yes, I think I can't do it consecutively. But at the same time, if we can get new people, I mean, it might be good to have somebody else who wants that role, but we don't have.
Kristen, would you be interested in sharing?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that person, I mean, if it were me signing up to do the amount of work that Emma's doing, no. I mean, I don't want to shortchange anybody is my concern.
Well, Anna is currently what, VP or president?
She's like.
VP. And Rebecca resigned. She was our president.
I thought we just had to elect the chair and a secretary.
Oh, that's what I thought, a chair and a secretary.
President, VP, and secretary.
He's gonna have to jump in, face what he finds out.
Well, this is like what we did planning commission. We just started over. We had some stuff that we used as the basis and.
So
Okay.
we do know that there was some documents that existed. Betty Jo had them and she said they were on her porch and eventually she would find them and get them to me, but I never got them. So I don't, and there's no record of them. I don't know how to find them. So what
I'm
what
just-
you
I'm
have.
sitting
is-
here
what's
Just looking at this, we had something in our packet, demolition and construction guidelines.
Mhm.
Saying, you know, this Article 2, Section 8 of the ordinance passed by the Weston City Council on June 7, 1999. We don't even have the originating ordinance was 1998. So I don't know if there's something else out there somewhere.
We're to elect the chairperson and secretary
Yeah, and then
and treasurer.
says it was amended in 2003, and this thing isn't even signed, so I don't even know if that's real or not, but yes.
I think we need new ones.
I think it's time for new ones. So I don't know, do we draft those at our next meeting and then send them over to council for approval?
An ordinance, I'd say, to update a lot of that stuff, the ordinance and.
I can do a shared document that we can all start working on.
I think that's probably wise.
We should make Kristen president, let her.
Move to nominate, Kristen as president.
Really don't think we should wait till Brian's here or see if Brian's coming or see what the whole shape of everything.
I don't know, Anna, what do you think?
Uh,
Works, you gotta have at least.
Not
five.
sure. I'm grunting over here. I don't know what to say. We need people. I don't know what to do. That's kind of why I was leaning towards Nate. Like, what's the right thing to do?
I think right now you don't have a leader. I think your president resigned, so I think you need to find a president and then we can straighten everything else out as time allows.
I think that's the most imperative thing that we need to do.
And then we're supposed to-
Then on as VP.
You guys,
We want to
we
split or what?
cannot do anything as a group without you. I'm sorry. She is,
I understand, yeah.
she is just key to holding this together.
If you wanna flip flop it, you wanna, because, now wait a minute. Cause she can't do
What's happening?
as VP,
She can't be vice president.
No, I can't be VP again.
what do you want?
I really honestly want what's best for the first.
Sure.
I honestly do. And if that means waiting one more month to see if Brian comes and see if we have more people, I'm okay with that.
What,
But I-
what can Anna do with secretary and treasurer? That's what it calls for. A chair and a secretary treasurer,
Yeah, we're
according to the bylaws.
I agree that Anna needs to
starting
stay
to get VP from, pretty soon that.
on the executive committee.
I don't see VP in there.
No,
Anna, did you make up a position and take it?
I have no idea. No, we have some other documents that are missing. I don't know where they are. Rebecca had them.
I think Anna's probably,
Because we did this last January is when we did it, and I knew I couldn't be president again. What did you say, Kristen?
I said, I think you're more qualified and better equipped to handle the president's role. And if there are only two positions, I mean, honestly, doing the stuff that has to like be here physically, I'm better suited to doing the secretary stuff.
Yeah, because it's very difficult for me to be there to sign things. What about, can we do it as an interim basis until we have more members, and then can we have another election, or is that not allowed?
Motion on the table, do it. You just violate your own bylaws, as long as you all agree.
I don't know what to do. Nate. We have two people here, Nate. What do we do?
we're really professional.
That's what I'm saying. Who's gonna hold you to the task? You all agree to it and say, no, we're agreeing to breach the bylaws, what's there? The bylaws, right, just to keep rogue members in check. If somebody comes in and says, well, I think we need to have 3 presidents. No, the bylaws say we have 1, shut up. What's the bylaw?
Is there anything that's gonna happen in the next month that requires us having a formally elected either position?
Other than we're violating our bylaws.
So either way you go, you're gonna violate them.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, in a perfect world, Judy doesn't have to beat the bushes to get an agenda set up. We need to have somebody in that role that can be the point person to work with the group.
I think Jacob's gonna handle that now for the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to make that. Kristen, or you want me to make a motion? For Anna to be president and you to be secretary of treasurer. Okay, I made that motion. Are you gonna have to?
Can I ask one question though?
No.
Does the treasurer does the treasurer have some kind of fiduciary responsibility on all these grants, or that's?
Occasionally Judy does have to sign them. So sometimes it makes our treasurer sign them. Typically it's usually Nate or I that have to sign them, but
We're both on the, yeah, we're on the bank account, aren't we? You and I.
Yeah, and we need to get me off and somebody else on the bank account, but we need to make a motion for that.
All right,
So what are we motioning? Let's go.
we're gonna motion Anna's president. And I'll do the secretary first.
And, okay, we have a motion and we have a second on the floor.
All in favor? Aye. Kristen's not saying anything. Kristen, did you say, oh, you said aye, okay, all right, all opposed? Motion carries.
Do
All
you
right.
make a motion now, Anna, to put Kristen on the bank account and take you off?
Yes, we have to make a motion that says both, to remove me from it and to add Kristen.
I will move to remove Anna from the bank account and place Kristen on the bank account.
I guess I say, just that's right.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and so those minutes is what we will need to take with us to the bank, and you can take those, a copy of those signed minutes at from our next meeting, Kristen, and get your name or whenever we get them signed. So I can sign them and send them to you, Judy, because I can sign these minutes. So once they're done, were you taking the minutes this time, Judy?
Yes.
So technically that would now be you, Kristen.
Next time, right?
Yes, next time. So once you get those done, Judy, I'll sign those, and then Kristen, we have to approve them though. So it'll be our next meeting before you can update that bank account probably. We don't really have anything going on anyway, as far as checks going out, I don't think. So it'll have to wait till our next meeting because you have to have approved minutes to take to the bank.
Okay.
And it's just there in Weston. So, all right, public comment.
None.
We all seem so pleased. Next meeting is, yes, I think it's the 9th, 5 o'clock. If Kim, if you could get back to it, just let us know about Brian, and then I'll send out that email as soon as I hear from you on what he says he's
I
doing.
have a note.
Okay, and then I'll send that over so that Nate can take that to city council to get those resignations accepted officially by city council.
Resignations for there too?
Well, I don't know what Brian's doing. I'm having Kim check. So Rebecca for sure.
No.
She's not.
Ashley resigned, didn't she? Didn't Rebecca take Ashley's spot?
No, Ashley resigned a long time ago, but yeah, that was a long time ago.
Okay.
She was not an officer. She was just a member.
What about Brenda Reed? Does she?
I would love to have her, and she does attend, as you know, the meetings. She's just so unwell. She's really struggled
Yeah.
this winter. She is, we need to remember her in our prayers. She's struggling with her health right now.
But if you do know anybody who is capable and interested, please have them fill out an application. We need people. So, and I think that goes with all of our committees. If we can get a functioning art council, that would probably help alleviate some of our problems as well. So
I will speak with her again. I don't want to put pressure, but the way that she would love to serve, as she really would, but she doesn't want to commit because she fears that she won't be able to.
are you referring to Brenda?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
she has said in the past that she couldn't do it. So
She have a computer? She attend from home?
I will ask her. I'm reluctant to stress her out at all.
Yeah.
But I will ask her.
all right, you guys, if there's nothing else, I think that's adjourned. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, all right, motion carries. All right, yes, ma'am.
Do I take out Rebecca's name and put your name in for the signature?
For the previous ones, being that she's not in this country, I think you're gonna have to.
So I think
Okay.
it's fine. Just with
If we want them actually signed.
Yeah.
If you want to just swap those names, send them to me, I'll sign them, and then I'll just scan them back to you so you can just have them so that you're not waiting on them anymore, if that works for you. Whatever works for you, Judy, whatever's easy, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.